I know sometimes job seekers have an organization that they really want to work with. It's their dream company. And so sometimes they think, well, you know what? I'll just apply for any role there because I just really, really want to work there. Well, I can tell you that sometimes that's not the best strategy, so we're going to talk about that today. Hi, I'm Shelley Piedmont, a former recruiter turned career coach, and I want you to thrive and not just survive in your job. So you might have an organization that you've always dreamed of working for. It may be some organization that is very well known that has a particular interest for you, or maybe it's your local company and that you go past that all the time and you think that would be a great place to work. I think a lot of us have a dream company. I know I did, but you need to be strategic when you're thinking about how you want to let the people in that organization know that you really want to work there. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of different approaches. Now, as a former recruiter, I can tell you that in my organization, there were some people that really wanted to work there. And I can tell you the story of a particular person who applied for almost every job that there was that we posted. And the interesting thing was he wasn't really qualified, not in the least. He would apply for an accounting role, though he had no accounting background. He would apply for a contract manager role, had no experience with contracts. I'm not really sure what was going on there, but as a recruiter, it was a red flag, definitely. So let's talk about some things you shouldn't do and maybe some things you should do if you want to work at a dream company. So let's talk about the things you shouldn't do. You shouldn't do what this gentleman did, which is to apply randomly to any job that, he saw. It wasn't really very helpful for him because he didn't show that he was qualified for any of these roles. So what happened as a recruiter, I couldn't figure out exactly what was going on with him. His background and where he applied were not aligned. So it was really confusing to me to understand really what he wanted to do and why he wanted to do it. And so because it was not a clear message by his actions, it put a lot of red flags up as to should we ever talk to him, because it was unclear exactly what he wanted. So that is something you should not do, definitely. Now, what you can do, and what is a better approach, is to really think about the roles that you are qualified to do and only apply to those that you actually meet those qualifications. Okay? So it would be the strategy that you should use for any organization, not just your dream organization. So, generally, do you meet the minimum requirements of the job? Do you have the knowledge, the experience? Do you have the skills that they ask for? That should be your criteria about what role you should apply to. Now, in larger organizations, and their departments may have roles that are somewhat similar, or there's overlap of skills, in which case it could be that you have all the relevant experience from your previous work experience, and that you really could do multiple jobs based on that. Well, that's fine. And if that's the case, then sure, go ahead and apply to all of the positions you are qualified for. The recruiter, or it could be multiple recruiters, will see all of the jobs that you are good for, and they will then internally look at your information to decide, if there's one or more of those that actually they would want to bring you through to the hiring process for that. But that is really important. Just because you are enthused about working for a particular company doesn't mean that that will carry you to actually move into the interview round. You actually have to be qualified to do that role. If you enjoy this content, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. And speaking of showing that you're qualified, make sure that you're tailoring your resume for each job. I have seen a person, this person, for example, that I spoke of, he used the same resume for every single job. And while that makes applying easier, it doesn't necessarily make it effective. Just like you are applying for any role with any organization, you should always tailor your resume for that particular job. And even if the jobs are similar, there are probably some things that are a little bit different in them. And you want to look at that resume and potentially add some experience or knowledge or skills that you didn't have originally on that resume, or vice versa. If what you have on there doesn't apply to that job, you want to delete that off. You want to make sure you're only giving the information that is relevant to that job and makes that easier for that recruiter to decide whether you meet the qualifications or not. Now, some people worry, well, the recruiter can see my multiple resumes. And yes, the applicant tracking system can show a different version of a resume that's attached to a job. But that's okay. Your recruiters are not going to care. Their job is to find the best qualified person for that particular role. And so if based on your information that you submit with your application for that role, you show that you are a good candidate, that's fine with them. They'll go ahead and move you through. They are not going to stew about the fact that you have a different version of your resume. That's okay. The recruiter's job is just to find the person that is most qualified, or people that are most qualified for that job, and move them through the process. So the fact that you've tailored your resume for that particular job, most recruiters will be thankful that you have done that. That just makes their job easier. Now, one thing I would suggest, if you really want to work at your dream company, is make sure you are networking within that company. This is very powerful because having people internal to that organization who can refer you to jobs or can vouch for you when asked about what they know about you, that helps a lot. It also can help if you, in those conversations, can let those people know why this particular organization would be a good fit for you. That way, they can tell recruiters, they can tell hiring teams, and that just is really helpful to show your enthusiasm and that you really want to work at that organization, not just any organization. So my suggestion is apply for roles where you actually are qualified, tailor your resume, and make sure you're networking within that organization. Those are 3 strategies to help you find a job at your dream company.